Welcome to NEXTGames video on how to solo the November 2019 Volume 1 Intense Ambuscade on Easy. This month's Intense Ambuscade is much less annoying than the Moogle themed one from last month, but there are a number of things you will need to look out for to make sure that your run is successful. This video will focus on completing it on the easy difficulty while solo, but these same strategies can be used on the very difficult difficulty if you have others to go with. First, let's talk about the key item for this ambuscade. The easiest way I've found to get it is to go to the West Art Ungern home point in Bafaloo Thickets. If you don't have that, you can also use the White Gate teleport to get to the Mamuja staging point, and you'll get to the same general area. Here, you can quickly find one Mamuja to kill if you're just doing the daily quest, or you can find the 3 necessary if you're doing this multiple times in the same day. Now let's go ahead and talk about the run. First, for Trust, I recommend you bring Seth to restore your HP, MP, and TP to the party, Ulmia for March, Korumoru for Haste, and Yoran for Cure. Now in regards to that final slot for Trust, you have a little bit of flexibility. Now the option I've chosen to go with this video, and after doing this run multiple times is the one I prefer, is just to use an extra White Mage. Now this White Mage isn't normally going to be necessary. They're basically just there if you happen to take a little bit of spike damage at the beginning of this fight, because you are going to have so many unslept mobs on you. Now the other option is you could just go with a tank like August. I did this at the beginning of my runs, and it was working well, but what I was finding was it was difficult for the positioning of all the monsters, and since you can't tell August exactly where you want him to go, you were always forced to fight the monster you're fighting wherever he was, which made it so a lot of your mages and stuff ended up getting hit with a lot of things you didn't want them getting hit with. There's also a lot of auras on these mobs, and you have to actually know when the aura drops, and they're all kind of piled up on top of each other. You can't tell which aura is which or whether or not it's gone. So that's why eventually I just decided to forego having an extra tank in this and use a White Mage. But do know that both those methods work, so go ahead and try them out if you're having difficulty with this fight, and you may find more success with one or the other. 2 last notes on Trust. If you do use a tank, when you get down to the final boss and that's all that's left, make sure you unsummon your tank and then pull the boss over to the side so that he's not near your mages. The boss spans a move called Miasma that will wipe all of your mages' TP and MP, making this fight very difficult to finish if you fight the boss near them. The second thing I want to point out is you do not want to use any offensive magic casting Trust. If you use any of those, whenever they cast offensive magic, whatever they've used it against, that mob will immediately use a TP move back against them. And since they're usually with your other mages, all your mages are going to get hit with whatever nasty move that is, and it just causes a mess. So make sure you do not use offensive magic Trust in this fight. There are 5 mobs that you will need to contend with in this fight, as well as 3 wyvern pets of the dragoon that he will summon once the fight starts. The main NM is the Bozetto Artarch, and he starts with a very high defensive aura that you can only get rid of by removing the aura from the other 4 mobs. Now the way you remove this aura from the mobs is one of 2 methods. One, by using an associated skill chain for that mob, or the second way is the one we use in my video, which is basically by scoring critical hits. So this means that you want to have as much critical hit gear on as possible. The best 2 sets for this, especially if you're on Ninja, or the Ken Dut Saba set, or the Mumu set that you will just get from Ambuscade. Both of them have the adequate amount of critical hit you need to take down these auras quickly. With this method, you do not want to weapon skill on any of the mobs you are fighting until the aura has disappeared from that mob. So right now we're fighting the Bozetto Protector. You want to go ahead and wait till that purple aura disappears from him, and then you're free to go ahead and weapon skill and finish him off as quickly as possible. Now the order I suggest you kill these mobs is start with the Protector, which is the Paladin, then go to the Lancer, which is the Dragoon. After you kill him, you'll not only rid yourself of him, but also all 3 of his wyverns. The Moringist, which is a Monk and Bard type mob, and the Erudite, which is a Black Mage and White Mage type mob. After all those are dead, you can then go for the boss. The Bozetto Protector is immune to sleep and uses conal and AoE fire-based attacks. You can remove his aura by using a gravitation skill chain if you wish to remove it without using the critical hit method. He will also normally use Invincible once, Please note that your critical hits can remove his aura while invincible is up, so just keep trying while that invincible is up. Okay, as you can see, that purple aura has left the protector. That means it's time to kill him, so let's go ahead and finish him off and then move on to the Lancer. The Bozzetto Lancer is a Dragoon that will immediately summon 3 Wyvern pets. The Wyverns cannot be slept. When he uses his 1 hour ability, the Wyverns will disappear, but please note that if you take too long to kill him, they can be resummoned. And even when he dies, they will still remain, so you'll have to deal with them and kill them. Despite all this, you want to make sure that you don't weapon skill until that blue aura on him is removed. This is the main reason why we kill the Paladin first in this video, and then the Dragoon. It's because if we try and go to the Dragoon first, I've noticed that we end up having to cast so many shadows and stuff to keep up with all the damage from the other mobs, that we end up killing the Lancer too slowly, and he ends up resummoning those Wyverns midway through the fight. And I found that things go much smoother when you kill it in this order. It's also worth noting that you can use a distortion skill chain to remove the aura from the Bozzetto Lancer as opposed to using this critical hit method if you happen to have a party set up and want to do that. Okay, as you can see, that blue aura has now left the Bozzetto Lancer. It's time to finish him off as quickly as possible, and then move on to the Bozzetto Moorangst. The Bozzetto Moorangst is a monk bard who will use 100 Fist at some time during your fight with him. Also, please note that Hydro Shot will reset Hate, so make sure you kind of be careful of that and be ready to grab it back if he does happen to use it. If you want to remove his aura using a method other than critical hits, you want to use a fragmentation skill chain, and that will get rid of it as well. So we'll go ahead and just melee on him until this greenish aura is gone. Then we'll finish him off and move on to the last mob of the erudite. Okay, that green aura is now gone. Let's go ahead and finish him off and move on to the erudite. The Bozzetto Erudite is a black mage and white mage that is immune to silence. The erudite will also use Mana Front and Benediction once during the fight, as well as a frequent use of shock spikes that Koru will have to dispel. The aura on him is removed by using a fusion skill chain if you do not want to use the critical hit method. I always recommend pulling him away from your party because there are lots of AoEs that he cast that you don't want hitting your mages, such as Silence God. There goes that red aura. Time to finish off the erudite and then kill the boss. Now on the boss, you will need to be careful not to use any offensive magic. I cannot stress this enough. He will always retaliate with Hemotoxin Wheel if any elemental magic is used on him. And that's going to poison you for 50 hit points per tick and charm you for 1 to 3 minutes, which will dismiss all of your trust and normally you won't even get a chance to fight him because you're going to die before that poison wears off. At first, it didn't seem like he was retaliating when I used Enfeebles on him and Urine, so I had started using those, but just this morning he ended up retaliating after I used Urine on him, which ended up charming me and costing me the fight. So I recommend you don't use any offensive ninjutsu on him, including Enfeebles, as it does appear as if he has a percentage of time that he does retaliate to even those. Now the moves you will see him use are Desicate, which is an AoE move that will take 2 of your shadows. Miasma, which is the one that you will probably see him use most frequently and is his most dangerous, as it is a potent poison, slow, and plague. The poison is for about 50 hit points per tick, and the plague will reduce your TP by 400 TP per tick and reduce the mage's MP by, I think it's 50 per tick. So you definitely want to make sure that that move in no way hits your mages. You want to fight him away from your mages at all times, because if they get hit with that move, it's going to be very difficult to finish this fight. Additionally, if Seth gets hit with it, he won't be able to restore MP to your party because he won't be having the TP. So it really creates a mess if you have your trust anywhere near you when you're fighting the boss, so make sure you pull him away. The last 2 moves you'll see him use are Tyrannic Blare, which is a conal move that will wipe your shadows, and a Hemotoxin Wheel, which is a single target heavy damage attack, and usually you don't need to really worry about that attack unless he's using it in retaliation, which, as we mentioned before, it will charm you. On higher difficulties, he will use Majin Galkri at 75%, 50%, 25%, and sometime under 10% if his aura is not removed. His aura can be removed by doing a light or dark skill chain that corresponds to the last elemental ninjutsu that he cast. It's good to keep up Migawari if you're on those higher difficulties due to this. I hope some people found that video helpful, regardless of the difficulty you're trying it on. If you have any questions, be sure to post them down there in the comments. Later this month, I'll be releasing some more videos in regards to my ninja gear sets and how they all work, so look for those. And everyone have a great month. Thanks for watching.